voters spoke. It passed with 55% support. It's more popular than the president, more popular than the governor, more popular than any Congress member here in Colorado.
We understand that, yes, marijuana possession and use is legal. We don't want the commercialization in our communities.
It's a little bit like the entire world just turned 21 and is going to the bars for the first time.
Colorado's Amendment 64 was passed on November 6, 2012, carrying 55% of the vote. It legalized the production and sale of marijuana and all marijuana-related products in the state for recreational purposes, and went into effect on January 1, 2014.
We wanted to hit the January 1st target. You want to be ahead of the pack, and we're excited about the possibility of being able to have Colorado as a whole as a market.
This particular shop, Mile High, was one of the very few that opened on January the 1st. And that was one of the most exciting times I've had in my entire business career.
The Flow, it's a really good sativa. It's delicious. Got the Skywalker, all the edibles, oh boy.
Got the hashes and dab rigs and glass pieces.
This place had lines going, I mean, literally for the first couple of weeks, you just non-stop people coming in. Folks that drove all night to be in here on January the 1st, for example, from Indiana, Kentucky, Connecticut, Florida.
We actually have a map back there with people put pins where they're coming from, and it's all over the world.
It's been a real eye-opener because the stereotypical thought is, well, it's going to be some young guy or young gal that's coming in, and it's really not the case. Average age, I would say, is 40 to 42 years old. Males and females, pretty evenly divided, and from all walks of life, all ethnicities, everything.
This program in of itself is incredibly unique. To my knowledge, it's probably the only one in the world that is just specifically dedicated to both medical and retail legalization. Because it's so unique, we really didn't have a set of best practices to borrow from other jurisdictions.
Running one of these state licensed marijuana businesses is very, very risky. And we have to accept the fact that that this is still federally illegal. The federal government is basically saying, we're going to give you all room to operate, but you need to have a robust, comprehensive state regulatory framework with licensing, and you need to be controlling for public safety.
Colorado's regulatory standards are dense and ever-changing. They cover everything from how product is packaged to how extra product is disposed of, from surveillance and security to product tracking.
So are you looking for something that's more of a sativa, like the Blue Dream ones? Or are you looking for something that's more like a traditionally stoned? I like this one.
I've tried kosher, I've tried Blue Dream.
You haven't tried this one? Why not try this one today? Yeah, it's really good.
I'll try that one.
You want to do the half-eight?
Yeah.
One day, this type of container is acceptable. The next day, nope, you can't work with that. You have to have another type. So you have to be very flexible with this industry.
We've also taken, I think, a contemporary approach to governance to fill a contemporary approach to drug policy, and a lot of that has really been focused on our willingness as a department and as a government agency to really solicit feedback from a lot of different stakeholders.
As we are learning together about this business, and it's just fascinating. We are literally inventing a new wheel. We are creating a brand new industry.
One of the stickiest issues for Colorado has been the regulation of marijuana edibles. Opponents of the edibles market are concerned about how products can be clearly demarcated as having marijuana once they are out of their original packaging.
The candies, the cookies, the gummy bears, the sodas. I just can't understand why are we putting marijuana in so many different products that kids like.
The edibles industry has maintained that it is overly expensive and unnecessary to add on-product markings. As with many other issues related to legalization, the state has convened a work group. interested parties who provide recommendations to legislators to aid them in writing any potential new laws.
In the Constitution, we defined marijuana. Edible products are part of that definition of what a marijuana product is. Therefore, any recommendation to prohibit any category of edible products is likely unconstitutional.
If you have items once outside of the original package that are no longer identifiable to an adult or a child, you have a serious set of health and safety and enforcement risks.
If we were to say you had to mark a product, what we have to identify what that means.
This is about marking the product itself. There's technology that can be used that I frankly don't think people have really reached out to and looked at.
In my opinion, no matter what we put on them, accidental ingestion by children is going to happen if the parents leave them in the reach of their children.
I could look and see again if there's an organic product that I could label my cranberry. I mean, is that where we're at?
There is this stigma surrounding selling marijuana that it's like drug dealing, and it's the opposite. I mean, it's so highly regulated.
One of the newest additions to Colorado's regulatory arsenal is testing for THC potency. It went into effect in January of 2014, and all retail marijuana must be tested. This is a change from the state's medical program, which did not require testing. The state also tests for contaminants and is beginning to find ways to test for potency within edibles, not just to make sure they adhere to a threshold, but to make sure that the THC is evenly divided throughout the product.
This lab has a lot of power. We are the gatekeeper for pretty much the entire industry. All retail marijuana products have to be tested, and if they fail for contaminants or if edibles are over a certain limit, that product may have to be destroyed. In order to analyze a sample, we have to extract the THC out of that bud. So we weigh out a very precise amount of the flower, put that into a test tube, add a precise amount of a solvent, which in this case is mostly alcohol, and we mix that up, and then everything is extracted into the solvent, and we're analyzing the solvent. This is an entirely new thing, this mandatory testing program. There's really no baseline. You have to remember that marijuana, the industry basically came out of garages and basements.
Phnom Penh is actually our high CBD strain, which is something that's really popular right now because the CBDs address the pain management. Death Star is also really popular. It actually just tested at 25%, which is really high.
As the year has progressed, recreational marijuana has taken a larger piece of the pie. Though medical still takes up 57% of the total market, sales have been decreasing month to month, including a 17% decline in sales from October to November.
One of the benefits of what's going on with the legalization in this state is monies are now being put forward for medical research so that we have a better understanding of what is it that makes it work.
The biggest variable in marijuana is that different strains work for different people for different reasons. Our moms grow to a certain level. We clone right off of them. We throw them into an aeroponic unit, allowing them to root. Once we develop a start of a nice root structure, we then move them into either a 4-inch cocoa pot or a 2-gallon cocoa pot. From there, we allow them to veg out for roughly 40 days, 42 days. Once they move into a 12-hour life cycle, then it takes about 18 weeks, depending on the phenotype, to flower. We are a medical marijuana grow and dispensary. What really differentiates us is that we're really focused on medical. We want to know the science.
My premise is that I think it's critical that we study and prove the science without beyond a shadow of a doubt that it works or does not work in whatever condition.
We want to be able to start breeding towards ailments, breeding for depression, breeding for epilepsy, breeding for stress or dystonia. We're currently working with doctors to educate our bud tenders to understand different things.
We need to prove or disprove what benefit and what condition. Because what I'm seeing in my office is people coming in smoking weed, hurting a lot, and wanting me to prescribe all their narcotics. There is scientific evidence of a system that does work in our bodies, and that's where THC works on. But the effects are variable and can vary from person to person, and some can be detrimental. The person behind the counter for medical marijuana, the criteria, the only criteria is you have to be 18 years of age and have a pulse. You have to have no medical background or training whatsoever. If you are going to be recommending this for a patient, shouldn't you have informed consent?
One way the industry has weathered the first year of recreational sales is by banding together. The Cannabis Business Awards, now in its third year, is put on by the Cannabis Business Association, a collection of local Colorado cannabis businesses, and is a time, like trade awards in any other business, to look back and honor standouts. This year, Bruce and Mile High Cannabis are nominated for People's Choice Best Retail Center.
I want to encourage everybody in this room, even though this industry can be so tough and it's so regulated and there's always hoops and there's always work to be done, to never lose sight of why we do what we do and to believe in the person you know yourself to be no matter what people say or do or think about what you're doing. So thank you all for your brave efforts in this industry.
I think everybody's watching us, the world is watching us, and we're setting an amazing example. And the future is very, very bright.
We opened up. I can't tell you how we did it, but we did it. And here we sit. It's been about a year. Got to thank this entire staff. These are the guys that made it all happen. We have great growers. That made it happen too. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
I think you've seen the evolution of the citizens of Colorado here. And as time goes by, more people are saying that, you know what, this isn't a very big deal. So far, recreational marijuana sales have gone very well here in Colorado.
The actual amount of retail tax revenue that came in was less than what was originally contemplated. What I anticipate happening is we'll have more licenses, and as we have more business licensees selling, that you'll see tax revenue increase from that.
The goal is obviously expansion because the production is really, I mean, the more you produce, the more you can sell.
I think you're going to see more and more consolidation. Big money's going to come into this. I'm very concerned about the R.J. Reynolds or the Seagrams of the world coming in and trying to just take the whole marketplace.
I think most people think that the momentum is in favor of this policy to gain more appeal in other states, and I mean, time's going to tell.
I see Colorado sort of having created a blueprint for other states to, first of all, implement a regulated medical program and then follow it up with hopefully a regulated recreational program as well.
Our beautiful, wonderful state has really taken a pretty big hit, no pun intended, as far as how we look to the rest of the country.
You see more and more states putting, some form of legalization on the ballot, over the next 5 years. It's really going to be, interesting.
The one word that I would use for virtually every person I've spoken with out of state is fascination. They are fascinated with this.
When they ask me how work is, I tell them busy.
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.